Hey guys, welcome to Landing America. Today I decided to have a solo episode. It's just me, myself, and I. I decided to answer some of your questions. So, without further ado, let's get to it. So, the first question is I'm visiting USA soon with Esta. What should I expect at the customs? This is a great question. What I remember, they were asking me if I'm traveling for business or pleasure. I obviously said pleasure because I was coming for vacation. They were asking me whom was I visiting. I said I'm visiting a friend. They asked me how long am I planning to stay. I said 1 month. And then who is traveling with me? To which I said it's just me, right? I was traveling alone. They took my fingerprints and they asked me to go to it's like a waiting hall for basically a secondary customs check. There was a bunch of people there waiting. I think I've been waiting for about 45 minutes. The officer got my luggage. He opened everything there. He even opened like my cosmetic bag, and he was asking me where am I flying from. I was flying from Malta back then, and he asked me straight away, "Are you bringing any drugs from Malta?" I was like, "No." It was very straightforward question. It caught me off guard, but I was like, "No, obviously." And I was thinking, is Malta considered like a drug island or something? Like I didn't know what's happening. And then he's been asking me who am I staying with. I am going to stay at my friend's place. He was asking me how well do I know that person. I said it's a friend from college. I know him for a while now. And then he asked me, "Are you planning to marry him?" And again, I was like, "What is going on?" Like, I'm just visiting a friend. Why are you asking me these weird ass questions? And I'm like, "No, I'm not planning to marry him." Then he was asking me how much money do I have on me, as in cash. I think I had like $5,000 with me, which I wouldn't even have that amount of money on me normally because I always use my cards. But I remember someone advised me to have cash on me to be able to show them that I have money to stay for a month in the USA. And then he's been asking me, "Where do you work?" I said I'm working in a live casino as an online dealer, which was my occupation in Malta. And then he was asking me how much money do I make there, which again, I found it weird because it's kind of not common that people ask you how much money you make, but I guess, customs is an exception. I told him how much money I make, and then he was asking me if I'm planning to work in a casino in the USA. I said I'm not planning to work here. I'm planning to enjoy vacation. I'm going to a festival and I want to enjoy Miami and see what's going on. And then he was asking me like, "Why are you staying for so long?" And I said, "Well, I'm coming to like a different continent. I've been flying for 12 hours and I can't imagine coming here for just a week or two. If I go for a 2 weeks vacation, I can go to Bulgaria, not to USA." And then he asked me how was I able to get such a long vacation leave from my job, which was a valid question, to which I told him that I basically asked for an unpaid leave because I didn't have such a long leave in Malta. And I think that was it. He was quite nice, but those questions really caught me off guard. And second time when I was flying to New York, I was visiting my girlfriend. I was taking to a secondary questioning. And I was getting upset because I'm like, do I look like a criminal or something? Like, why you guys keeping me here for so long? This time the guy was asking similar questions, but on top of that, he was also asking me to provide him with like my paychecks from Malta. which I had because, I was getting my salary from Malta and I had it in my email. So I showed him. He was also asking me, how do I know the girl that I'm visiting? And I was visiting my friend who I actually met in Miami. She was also on vacation and we stayed in touch. So she invited me to come to visit her in New York because that's where she lived. And I wanted to see New York. So I was like, that's awesome. I have another friend in the United States, so I'm going. And he was asking me, how well do I know her? How does she look like? What's the color of her eyes? I think like I told him her name and he just pulled up the information about her in his computer. So yeah, that was my customs experience. It's not always like that. I believe if it's a group of people coming to visit or if you're traveling with your family, the customs procedure is much faster than when you go solo, as I did, because they were probably suspicious. They thought that I'm like some drug mule or something. I don't know. He was probably suspicious that a girl from Slovakia has enough money to stay in the United States for a month, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, they can ask you all kinds of questions, but I believe they're trying to be fast and efficient because usually international flights have so many passengers and you have to stand in a long line to get through them. So they're usually trying to be fast. Next question. Give us more funny stories. Um, So I was thinking what kind of funny stories I can give you. I have one which was pretty frustrating, but looking back, I'm laughing at it. So basically, when I arrived to the United States, I mentioned in my previous episodes, I didn't have internet connection or any Wi-Fi. So when I was dropped at the address where I was staying, I couldn't reach out to my friend to tell him like, "Hey, I'm here." I just found the building where he lived, but what I didn't know is that it was a gated building. You had to put a code for the gate to enter. He didn't give me the code for the gate. I mean, he was a guy, so I guess that explains it. I was like hoping somebody is going to, go inside and let me in, but it was like 11 p.m. and there was nobody on the streets. I was actually getting a little bit scared because I was alone, a young girl, on the streets of Miami Beach with my two suitcases and nobody was around me. So I was just like pacing on that street and there was like really tall bushes. I mean, like maybe 3 meters tall, thick bushes. And I saw like a really small hole in those bushes. And I was desperate. So I was like, this is my only chance to get in. So what I did, I pushed through that small hole my carry-on luggage, which kind of damaged that fence a little bit, that bush. And so the hole became a little bigger. So then what I did, I pushed my big checked in luggage through that hole too, which created a bigger hole. And then I pushed myself through that hole. I sort of did like a flip like on my hands and on my head and, and I got in. I went to his doorstep and I knocked and he opened. He's like, "Oh, hi, you're here. How did you get in? Did you have a gate code?" And I'm like, "Dude," picking up the leaves out of my head. So yeah, you know, if you're visiting a friend, make sure you have all the contact information and anything regarding the address. A lot of places here have gates with the codes, so be prepared for that. The last question I want to answer today is, how do I feel about hurricanes? Hmm. How do I feel about hurricanes? Luckily, thank God, I haven't experienced a hurricane yet. The last big hurricane here was in 2017, which was Hurricane Irma, which damaged and destroyed whole Miami Beach. I came here in 2018. Since then, every year, obviously, the hurricane season starts. It starts around June, ends around November. And that's the period of the year when everyone is on high alert about possibility of a hurricane coming. Usually people know about every hurricane that's coming beforehand, maybe like 2 weeks or 1 week before. And it causes kind of hysteria because people go to the stores and they start buying canned food and candles and flashlights, and you can't buy any toilet paper in that time because everyone is just freaking out that because what happens is it's a strong wind with a lot of rain and a lot of floods, so you can get floods that are like 6 feet tall. The electricity is gone, and it can be like that for a few days up to a few weeks. Once you cannot go out of your house and you have no electricity, it's not ideal. So everyone starts freaking out. I honestly don't know what I would do. Like every year I'm scared, my family's scared. They always are like, why do you live in such place? But I mean, every place in the world has its pluses and minuses. So paradise comes with hurricanes. What can I tell you? I would preferably probably travel somewhere really quickly. I would take a flight and go, I don't know, up north to New York or somewhere, or go on a road trip. The only problem with a hurricane is that it's very unpredictable and you never know which direction it's going to go. So it can literally change the direction in a day. So it might be that we're expecting it up north, North Florida, and suddenly it makes a turn and it's in Miami. If you're not expecting it to come here, then you don't really get a chance to leave. And obviously, the flights are getting canceled, people cannot leave or arrive. That's the reality of hurricanes here. I'm not necessarily happy about it. I'm lucky and happy I haven't experienced it yet, and I hope there are more years to come when the hurricanes will avoid this place. So, fingers crossed. All right, guys, so that's all from me for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I would like to encourage you to ask more questions. I'm very happy to answer your questions and give you more insight. I would like to know what would you like me to talk about. I recently started a YouTube channel, which was a big challenge for me, but I decided to overcome this challenge and embrace everything that comes with it. You're all welcome to subscribe to my channel. If you haven't yet, follow my Instagram and TikTok and Facebook page. I'm basically everywhere by now. I really appreciate your support, and great things are coming. I receive a lot of positive feedback, which makes my heart really happy. I can see that you guys who are fellow immigrants can relate to the topics I'm talking about. And a lot of people who are dreaming about visiting America are very interested in these topics. So it makes me happy I can help. And you guys are helping me as well with all your support. So feel free to give a like. If you're listening through Apple Podcasts, please give me a review. It's not gonna cost you anything. It's gonna take a few seconds, but it's going to help me a lot. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.